Hope you enjoy this video where I'll be installing the Ancel battery monitor. And for anyone who is interested, I think these are pretty cool because when you're driving a small car like the Alfa Romeo 4C or a Lotus Elise or Lotus Exige, those cars typically have fairly small batteries. And if you're not driving that car on a regular basis, those batteries can run down and leave you stranded. This is something I didn't know existed, but when I was up at the Lotus Owners Gathering 41 in Canaan Valley, Virginia, I talked to a couple of Vora owners and they swore by it. So I've been having some electrical challenges, I think. I've been getting a lot of check engine lights, and a lot of times in this car that's due to electrical fluctuations, not actual mechanical problems. So I'm hoping that by getting this battery monitor on that I'll be able to help diagnose those issues. So anyway, I got this and I'll be showing you how to install it today. This is the Ancel battery monitor that I purchased. I've got it inside in a bubble wrap protection. And if you look at the actual battery monitor, that's what it looks like. It's very simple. Looks like it's got two terminals, positive, negative. Just attach those to the battery terminals and there you go. The way you monitor the battery is actually using an app. I did look through the instructions. I read through them before I came out here to attempt this. And they're reasonably detailed. I mean, you can see that they go over a lot of the details, including setting up the app and running some tests. So let's see how this goes. It should be pretty simple.
Before I jump into this DIY project, I wanted to mention a new friend of mine, Aaron, also known as Help Me DIY on YouTube. He's got almost 500 videos going over all sorts of car do-it-yourself projects. I met him through Lotus Car Community because he just purchased a Series 1 Lotus Elise, and I'm sure he's going to be producing a lot of great videos around that. So check him out.
Okay, the Alfa Romeo battery, and I don't know if this is stock or not, but the one that I have in my car, in my 4C, has several terminals. It's got this sort of terminal extender attached to the main terminal, and I've got a 10 millimeter nut. Now, I've already lost one of these 10 millimeter nuts. Kind of fell down into the car and never to be seen again, so I'm going to try and be a little bit more careful with this one.
If I'd been paying closer attention, I would have noticed that the connectors on the battery monitor are prongs and not loops, so I didn't have to take the nuts off of the terminals. I could have just loosened them.
So I'm just going to add this right on top. I was being very careful not to let the nut fall out of the socket. Okay, just get that nice and tight. Okay, if you're wondering what some of this other stuff is in here, I have an Alfa Romeo battery charger that came with the 4C. It came with this car, and so that attaches to both the positive and negative, and then there's a little cord here which you can plug into the wall adapter. And fortunately, there's enough of a gap in the Alfa Romeo back here that you can run the cord in. And I got tired of always opening up the rear hatch in order to plug it in, so I found that you actually can wedge it in here so that it's outside the car. So I can just plug it in and unplug it without having to open the rear hatch. Now, I wouldn't keep it here permanently because it's a little weird sticking out, but it's not very noticeable. It's unobtrusive. And right now I'm recovering from hip surgery, so I am driving the car less and needing to keep it charged, so having it on the charger more often. So I am just keeping it here temporarily while I'm using it frequently. So anyhow, here's the positive terminal. I've attached that. I figure I'll run the cords the same way that I am for the charge cable. There's sort of a protective rubber shield that goes on top of the battery. Actually, first there's this plastic cover. Goes down over the terminals, and then there's this rubber cover that protects it, and you have one on the opposite side for the negative terminal as well. So you can see here's the battery, and it's got this protective gasket over the top. You lift that up, so you can see it's got this protective plastic cover over all the terminals. And if you unclip that, I think you just press, if you unclip that by pressing here, and then you can lift it up and you can actually access all the terminals. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and clip that down to protect it, put the rubber gasket down to further protect it. Okay, and then if you look over here on the negative side, it's pretty much the same setup, right? You can see you've got the terminal farm in there. I'm going to use my 10mm socket again. Ooh. This one's a little harder to get at because there's an angle. So I can see I'm not going to be able to do that with this driver shaft. Okay, let me see if I can get at it with this ratchet. Still a little tight in here. Seems to be working slowly. It's coming off, but it's kind of slow. Oh, but you know what? The Ancel is not a circle, it's a fork. So I can just slip it on under there. Okay. Okay. So I've got it on there. Now it's a question of getting it tight. So I'm going to have to use the ratchet. Okay, that feels nice and snug. Okay, and the Ancel unit is kind of hanging right here. Okay. So now I'm going to refer back to the manual. It says install the battery monitor to the vehicle battery, so I've done that. Keep the DM300 settled in a convenient location where the Bluetooth transmission signal is not blocked. So hopefully where I've got it, it's not going to be blocked. And then you're supposed to install the app. So they tell you that you can do that by searching on this QR code. So I'm going to do that. Okay, and there it is in the Google Play Store. So I'm going to install that. So I don't know why it keeps giving me this message saying that it's going to be installed soon. That seems kind of idiotic. Usually when I go through the Google Play Store, it installs it immediately. So I'm not sure what the heck it's doing or telling me. Very strange. When I did the QR code, it took me into Google Play and it was like some weird set of prompts, and it said it was going to install soon, but I just went straight into the Google Play Store and searched for DM300 in the App Store, found it, and now it just says install, so that's what I'm going to do. I'm not sure why the QR code took me down that odd path. You do have to give it location permission. And they suggest to say allow for all the time. This is because it has sort of a perimeter, it's Bluetooth, it's not always available. So let's see here, daily power notification. Okay. Okay, so it's saying that the battery is okay, 100% charged, 12.75 volts, which is good. And that's kind of where we are. So let me see if I can do voltage test. So it has some other features, like there's a cranking test. You can try starting it. There's an idle condition test. Maybe I will try those here. But there you have it. I'm not going to try and demonstrate all the features of the software. That's not the purpose of this video. Just to show you that you can install it, and now I can monitor the voltage of my battery at any time without having to hook it up to an external device. And I'm kind of looking forward to that. I am hoping it's going to help me monitor things and troubleshoot some of the problems that I've been experiencing with the Alfa Romeo 4C. That I believe are related to voltage fluctuations, and we'll see. Now I'm going to start the idle condition test. So it says start the engine, so I'm going to do that. Better put on my seatbelt first, otherwise the nanny will burst my eardrums. Okay, it says increase RPM to 2500 to test the car. Okay, that's about 2500 RPM. It says charging system okay, charging voltage 14.3 volts. Okay, so that's good. So they've got another test called the cranking test, okay, which is for starting the car. It says cranking voltage is okay. I think that's based on the startup I just did a minute ago. Let me turn the car off. Okay, I'm not sure how to start up the cranking voltage test, but I'm going to go ahead and just restart the car and see if it records that as a crank test. It recorded that one as 10.31 volts, and it's falling into what they call the standard range. If you look at the far right end of that little bar. So seems like cranking is okay. Now what I wonder is if I don't have this car on the battery tender constantly, and I go for a little bit of a drive or a couple drives, is my battery damaged or weak, and will the voltage drop to where I'm going to get fluctuations which are triggering those check engine lights and those sensor failures with various car systems. I'm kind of happy I've got my Ancel battery monitor installed in the Alfa Romeo 4C. I will be using this this week especially. I do have a brand new battery coming because I am concerned that the battery in this car may have some problems. It may not be strong enough. I know I've run it down one time at least, and I don't know the history of it. I bought the car last year, about 9 months ago, and I have no idea how old the battery is or what the history is. So I figured small investment to get a new battery and put it in the car, better than dealing with these crazy check engine light issues, and the car also basically becoming undrivable. It goes into this preservation mode where the transmission stops functioning, and I've had this happen on steep hills, I've had this happen on busy roads, and it's pretty disconcerting. I mean, you could get into some real trouble thanks to that, and it really kind of frustrates me because every time it's happened, I just turn the car off, turn it back on, or I hook up my OBD2 reader, clear the codes, and I'm good to go, no problems. And I never experience any other symptoms that the codes that are being thrown would indicate. So, that and the fact that there are an awful lot of forum posts where people are just talking about all these crazy codes being thrown by battery power fluctuations lead me to believe that these are erroneous and not actual red flags. So anyhow, I'm hoping that with the battery monitor and with the new battery, I'll be able to put those things behind me. Hello, it's a beautiful 70-degree March 6th in Raleigh, Durham. And I can't believe what a wonderful day it's been. This is not sort of typical March weather, but it's also not uncommon. So enjoying beautiful weather. The pine trees have started to shed their clouds of yellow pollen, so my black Alfa Romeo 4C is soon going to be inundated with that. I'll probably try and get some pictures when it's at its worst.